And we're back at the Outboard Dad channel. Good afternoon, boaters. Morning, afternoon, evening. Who knows when you're watching this. Anyways, good to see you, or good for you to see me, I guess. Boy, this is really weird sometimes. Anyways, we're going to get back into our lower unit. We have nice, I just love looking at this and seeing a nice new seal in there. I know that I have the silicone around the outside that's sealing around the outside and around the shaft here. Same thing up top. I don't know, these things make me happy. Don't forget my used outboard motor buying guides for sale on Amazon right now for $20. Keep in mind, this is just a quick grab and go guide that walks you through the top basic things you need to do to make sure you're not buying a dud or a motor that's going to cost you thousands in repairs later on. Doesn't check everything, but it's the high points that I've put together from counselors and friends and good boaters, not only good boaters, but also good mechanics and machine shop guys and outboard guys that I've met over the years help me put this together. It's short, it's sweet, you grab it, you go, and then it can save you thousands if you didn't do these tests. So don't forget, for a limited time, if you send me an email with proof of purchase to keith@outboarddad.com, I am offering a free half-hour session over the phone to help you with a motor that you're working on, or a outboard you're looking to buy, or maybe a boat with an outboard you're looking to purchase, to help guide you in the right direction. Today we're going to continue on. The next thing we have to do is our shift shaft seals and our shift shaft plate, I guess we're going to call it, that carries those seals, as well as the gasket that goes around it. We're going to use the same silicone because I have it out. You can use whatever you want for this type of gasket. But we're going to clean this up really good. And the key is to get these O-rings out. So inside here where our shift shaft goes in is 2 O-rings, and they're really thick, right? Look at the size of the thickness of that. This is a really, really thick O-ring. It's not easy to get it in there. This is something we want to use grease inside there. Also, sometimes where these sit gets corroded. So we're going to go in, clean it out, make sure there's no corrosion in there, and then we're going to grease it up with some white lithium lube inside there, and then get these new seals in. So I'm going to try and work this out. Gets a little tricky sometimes to get these out of here. It's not too difficult. Of course, I shouldn't have said that, especially while I'm on camera here, because I'll probably fight them. Now, I'm not worried about cutting the old ones, right? Because we're removing them anyway. Usually you work the screwdriver around the groove and you can usually pull it out. Of course, not while you're watching. I'm not going to turn the camera off and say I got it later. I'm going to make you watch me struggle with this. Part of what you do when you work on stuff is struggle. All right, so we're getting closer. There's one. Now let's get the other one. Sometimes the second one is easier. Did I just drop it out? I don't think so. Wow. Now I'm worried about driving the screwdriver into my leg. Interesting. I'm gonna get my cheaters on. Is there only one in here? Yeah, there is only one in, oh, no. Let's see. Typically there's 2, one right next to each other, but this does not appear to be that way. Let's spray some brake cleaner in here. It's a little filthy. Okay. Okay, what? Yeah, there's only one in here. That is not typical. All right, typical, there's two, one on top of the other. Very interesting. All right, so it also looks really clean in there, so I'm going to go ahead and get some white lithium. But before I do that, I'm going to scrape this gasket off, and let's clean this up really good. So now I'm going to take a piece of this sand cloth, I'm going to put it on a flat surface since I don't have one right here, I have one over there, and I'm going to put this down and just clean this up really good. Okay, so we clean the surface off. Typically I don't like to take the paint off of this as much as possible, but the old gasket was really stuck on there, and just kind of had to sand it. Typically I like to leave as much as the paint on there as I can. If I can just scrape with a gasket scraper, it's typically enough, but it took me a little more on this one. Typically just because I wanted to not corrode. This is a good corrosion resistant that they put on there when it's manufactured. So I have plenty of grease in here right now, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take this. This is really tricky. I'm going to take this and I'm going to pinch it this way and feed it in. And let's see how much I fight with it. And I'm going to take my screwdriver and make sure I'm packing, because I want to make sure I pack this grease around the outside of where this seal goes. So I'm going to pinch this sucker while it's all kind of slippery. Yes, I am. And I'm going to feed it in, get it started. Now I'm holding it, right? So I got it in that far, and now I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to come through on the other side, and I'm going to start to push. Of course, I loaded it up here so much that I can't see. And I'm going to push the O-ring in to the groove. While I'm pushing it in from the top. And now I'll push it the rest of the way from the top, trying to get my screwdriver in the middle of that O-ring so that I can work it around into place. Now I'm just working it into place. And I don't think I did it right. I think I got just too much grease in there. I can't see what I'm doing. Oh, there it is, popped out over here. So I'm just popping it back in, around. Should be able to pop it in here. I'm going to put my cheaters back on. Okay, so I missed it on this side. So I'm pushing it into place, trying to work it around. And I think I got it. Still doesn't seem to be straight in there. Let me clean out some of this grease I put in here. So I'm just working it around. You know, when you bend it like that, it gets kind of twisted. There we go. Now it's round in there. Now I'm going to shine a light in here, see if you can see this. how that is worked around now and in place. So just as my precautionary measures are just to check, now I'm going to take my shift shaft, and now this is threaded on the end. I don't want these threads to cut it, so I'm going to thread it in here. I'm not just going to pop it past, right? And it should be a good tight fit because it's a new seal. Now I don't even know if the old seal might have been fine, but it doesn't look to be cut or anything sitting there on the table. But see, now that's a nice fit. All right, so I could leave this in here. Yeah, I think I will. I'll leave it in here. We'll get this surface clean again because I got my hands all over it, and then we'll get this gasket on here next. All right, so we clean this surface. We'll put our shift shaft down. Now we'll clean this surface. It is pretty clean, but just in case I, put my hand on it with a little grease on my hand or something, make sure it's ready to go. And we'll get the silicone that we used before. Again, very, very thin layer. I'm not going crazy with this. This is Motorcraft diesel silicone. I've had the best success putting together old parts with this because it's so thick. You see how thin the layer is that I put. Put our gasket down. Now I'm going to put another thin layer on here. All right, now I don't know if I cleaned up my bolts for this yet. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I line up my shift shaft. And I'm going to turn it, wrote it down. Where did I write it down? That's the 70 horsepower. There we go, right there. So that's where I wrote it down on my workbench that it was 8 turns. Sorry, right there is where I wrote it down. So I got kind of half a turn in there, so we'll call that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, now the goal here of doing that is that hopefully Rick can just put this right back together and everything lines right up nice and neat. That would be really cool. Make it as easier for him as I can. So we're going to clean up these bolts and put these bolts in here next.